Have you ever walked into a room and without saying a word, someone just stood out? Not because of looks, not because of fame, but because of their quiet presence. That is silent attraction.
Imagine sitting in a busy cafe. People chatter, phones ping, chairs scrape. Yet, in the corner, one person sits quietly. No rush, no forced laugh, no frantic gesture. And somehow, every head turns. You feel a pull, a curiosity. Who is that?
The most attractive people are not always the loudest in the room. They're often the quiet ones who carry themselves with calm strength. They don't try to impress, they just are. And the ancient Stoics knew this.
They mastered the art of silent presence, and it made them leaders, warriors, and sages.
So, sit back, turn off the noise, and listen closely. This video will teach you how to become socially attractive, silently, using ancient wisdom and timeless habits that never grow old.
Let's begin. 1. The quiet power of presence.
You walk into a room. One person is loud, laughing, grabbing attention. Another is quiet, calm, standing tall, saying little. Yet, somehow, everyone notices them. Why? Because presence doesn't shout, it radiates.
You don't need to be loud to be seen. True presence is a kind of quiet energy. It's the way you hold your body, the way you look people in the eye, not with pride, but with peace. It's how you listen without rushing to speak. This is the beginning of silent attraction.
The Stoics understood this. They believed in mastering themselves, not others. Marcus Aurelius didn't need to dominate conversations. His calm presence ruled more than his voice ever could. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, don't react. Don't perform. Just be.
In a world that's always trying to be louder, presence is rebellion, and it's rare. People are starving for depth, for someone who doesn't need to prove anything. Be that person. Still, calm, focused. Your stillness will speak louder than any noise ever could. That's the quiet power of presence.
2. Speak less, mean more.
Words have power, but only when they're rare and true. Most people talk to fill silence, but silence isn't empty. It speaks. The more you speak, the more you dilute your value. But when you choose words carefully, every sentence carries weight. Stoics knew this.
They trained themselves to speak only when necessary and to make every word count. Have you ever met someone who spoke gently and slowly, but their words stayed with you for days? That's because they weren't just speaking. They were delivering meaning. Don't rush to speak. Let others finish, then answer with clarity. Let your silence in between words show thought, not hesitation.
As the ancient proverb says, "A fool is known by his many words, a wise man by his silence."
Mystery is also magnetic. When you don't overshare, people lean in. When you don't explain yourself too much, people wonder. And wonder creates attraction. So, speak less, mean more. In a noisy world, your quiet wisdom will shine brighter than any loud voice. 3. Emotional control is magnetic. People trust those who stay calm when others lose their minds. Imagine a storm. People run, panic, scream. But in the middle stands one person, still and steady. That's attractive. That's Stoic strength.
Emotional control is not about hiding your feelings. It's about mastering them. Epictetus said, "It's not things that upset us, but our view of them." This means what happens is less important than how we respond. When you control your anger, your fear, your envy, you gain quiet respect. People feel safe around someone who doesn't react to every insult,
setback, or bad mood. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to cry for attention. You just breathe and respond with reason. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you powerful. Because the person who cannot be shaken is the one everyone watches. So next time someone tries to push your buttons, don't bite. Smile gently. Let their noise pass. You'll be the calm in the storm, and that's unforgettable. 4. Confidence without noise.
Confidence isn't loud. Real confidence whispers. It's the steady heartbeat, not the racing drum. The person who truly knows their worth doesn't need to shout about it.
Stoics didn't seek applause. They didn't need to prove themselves. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet wrote in his journal, "Do not waste time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's real confidence. You become silently attractive when you walk into a room and don't try to take it over. You smile when needed. You speak when it matters. You don't dress to show off. You dress to feel strong inside. You don't brag. You let your actions speak. People sense when you are at peace with yourself. That peace is rare, and rare is attractive. Try this. Try this. In your next conversation, avoid talking about yourself unless asked. Focus on the other person. Show no need to dominate. Just be present, curious, and calm. Watch how people begin to respect you without even knowing why. Confidence without noise is confidence that lasts. 5. Respecting yourself. Silently, 200 words. True respect begins with self-respect, and it doesn't need to be announced. When you quietly value yourself, others start valuing you too. Not because you told them to, but because your behavior shows it. Seneca once said, "You are your own best friend." And it's true. If you don't stand for yourself, no one else will. But here's the key. You don't have to fight, shout, or demand. The Stoic way is quieter. It's about quiet boundaries, walking away from disrespect, saying no without apology, being okay with being misunderstood, rather than begging to be seen. When someone disrespects you, you don't need to argue. You simply don't give them your time again. That silence is louder than shouting. And when you respect yourself, by resting when you're tired, by refusing fake friendships, by not lowering your standards, people notice. You glow differently. They may not understand why, but they feel it. In a world full of people trying to fit in, the one who respects themselves quietly becomes unforgettable, because they show others how to treat them, not with words, but with actions. That's real power. That's silent attraction. 6. The strength of not needing to impress. 200 words. There is deep power in not needing attention, in not chasing validation. The Stoics called it indifference to externals. What others think, it's not in your control. So why chase it? People spend so much energy trying to be liked. Louder clothes, louder words, louder lives. But the person who doesn't need to impress anyone, they carry peace. And peace is magnetic. When you don't need to prove your value rises. As Lao Tzu once said, when you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. You don't impress people by talking about your success. You impress them by being present. You don't win hearts by showing off your strength. You win them by controlling it. True strength doesn't show off. It simply shows up. Calm, grounded, unbothered. And when you live this way, something surprising happens. People start seeking your approval, not the other way around. So stop trying to impress. Be real. Be simple. Be still. That's when your quiet power truly begins to shine. 7.
The grace of deep thinking, 200 words. Most people live on the surface, chasing likes, quick laughs, shallow approval. But silent attraction comes from depth. When you think deeply, speak wisely, and reflect often, people notice.
A deep thinker isn't quick to judge. They observe, they pause, they see through the noise, and that calm insight becomes their light. It's attractive because it's rare. The Stoics were always thinking, what is in my control? What is truly good? How can I live with reason and peace? These questions shaped their daily choices, and those choices made them stand out, not through loud action, but quiet wisdom.
When you develop your inner world, your outer world changes. People sense your presence. They feel your depth. You don't have to talk about books you've read or lessons you've learned. Your words will naturally carry weight. Your silence will invite curiosity.
As the old saying goes, still waters run deep. Be that quiet river. Let others splash loudly on the surface. You stay steady underneath, thoughtful, calm, and wise. That's what makes you silently attractive. You don't need to be loud to be noticed. You don't need to chase people to be loved. The most powerful presence is quiet, calm, and full of self-respect.
These are not tricks. They're not quick fixes. They're a way of life. A slow, steady flame that doesn't flicker in the wind. People may not understand your calm at first, but they will feel it. They will trust it. They will be drawn to it.
In the words of Marcus Aurelius, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. You don't need noise. You need stillness. You don't need to shine. You need to burn steadily, quietly, with purpose. And that is how you become silently attractive. If this spoke to your soul like it did to mine, subscribe, reflect, and let this wisdom shape your life. You're not here to impress the world. You're here to master yourself.